All right, hi class. So if you remember from yesterday, we just got out of that crazy conflict with Medusa and the three Grover, Annabeth, and Percy. Sorry, mind blank. So today they have just gotten out of that problem. We're still going to be talking about character motivation. So just like we talked about yesterday, we're looking for why characters do something. We have the same steps. So we identify the character, what they said, and what they did. Ask yourself, why did they do that? Again, think about how did this help them? Then you want to find your evidence and your reasoning. So we're going to go through an example later, and then you're going to do one on your own. Today we have a shorter chapter. Chapter 12, we get advice from a poodle. Kind of a silly chapter name, so let's see what happens. We were pretty miserable that night. We camped out in the woods 100 yards from the main road in a marshy clearing that local kids had obviously been using for parties. The ground was littered with flattened soda cans and fast food wrappers. We'd taken some food and blankets from Auntie M's, but we didn't dare light a fire to dry our damp clothes. The Furies and Medusa had provided enough excitement for one day. We didn't want to attract anything else. We decided to sleep in shifts. I volunteered to take the first watch. Annabeth curled up on the blankets and was snoring as soon as her head hit the ground. Grover fluttered with his flying shoes to the lowest burrow of a tree, put his back on the trunk, and stared at the night sky. I think this is supposed to be the lowest branch. There we go. Go ahead and sleep, I told him. I'll wake you if there's trouble. He nodded, but still didn't close his eyes. It makes me sad, Percy. What does? The fact that you signed up for this stupid quest. No, this makes me sad. He pointed at all the garbage on the ground. And the sky, you can't even see the stars. They've polluted the sky. This is a terrible time to be a satyr. Oh, yeah, I guess you'd be an environmentalist. He glared at me. Only a human wouldn't be. Your species is clogging up the world so fast. Ugh, never mind. It's useless to lecture a human. At the rate things are going, I'll never find Pan. Pam? Like the cooking spray? Pan, he cried indignantly. P-A-N, the great god Pan. What do you think I want a searcher's license for? A strange breeze rustled through the clearing, temporarily overpowering the stink of the trash and muck. Ooh. It brought the smell of berries and wildflowers and clean rainwater, things that might have once been in these woods. Suddenly, I was nostalgic for something I'd never known. Tell me about the search, I said. Grover looked at me cautiously, as if he were afraid I was just making fun. The god of wild places disappeared 2,000 years ago, he told me. A sailor off the coast of Ephesus heard a mysterious voice crying out from the shore. Tell them that the great god Pan has died. When humans heard the news, they believed it. They've been pillaging Pan's kingdom ever since. But for the satyrs, Pan was our lord and master. He protected us and the wild places of the earth. We refuse to believe that he died. In every generation, the bravest satyrs pledged their lives to finding Pan. They searched the earth, exploring all the wildest places, hoping to find where he is hidden and wake him from his sleep. And you want to be a searcher? It's my life's dream, he said. My father was a searcher, and my Uncle Ferdinand, the statue you saw back there. Oh, right, sorry. Grover shook his head. Uncle Ferdinand knew the risks. So did my dad. But I'll succeed. I'll be the first searcher to return alive. Hang on. The first? Grover took his reed pipes out of his pocket. No searcher has ever come back. Once they set out, they disappear. They're never seen alive again. Not once in 2,000 years? No. And your dad? You have no idea what happened to him? None. But you still want to go? I said, amazed. I mean, you really think you'll be the one to find Pan? I have to believe that, Percy. Every searcher does. It's the only thing that keeps us from despair when we look at what the humans have done to the world. I have to believe that Pan can still be awakened. I stared at the orange haze of the sky and tried to understand how Grover could pursue a dream that seemed so hopeless. Then again, was I any better? Pause there. So now we're going to go back up. So we're going to pause right here. I'm just going to highlight it so I know where we stopped. And we're going to go up to this CER. So if you look here, what is Grover's ultimate motive for getting his searcher's license? So we know that Grover was motivated to go on this quest to get his searcher's license. Now we're looking for what motivates him to get his searcher's license. Why does he want that searcher's license? So the first thing I want to do is I want to identify what he said or what he did. So if you look right back here, it says, Pan, he cried indignantly. Pan, the great god Pan. Why do you think I want a searcher's license for? So right there is some evidence. He's basically saying that he wants his searcher's license so that he can find the great god Pan. And now if you look down here, he explains it a little bit more. And you want to be a searcher. It's my life's dream. My father, all of his family were searchers as well. So he wants to be a searcher so that he can be the next satyr to look for Pan. So you could highlight some of this too. Let's see. So all of this would also be evidence to prove that. So if you go back up here, I would say, I would start with repeating part of this sentence or part of the question. Grover's ultimate motive for getting a searcher's license is to find the god Pan of wild places. And actually, this shouldn't be capitalized. The evidence is, in the text it says, at the rate things are going, I'll never find Pan. In every generation, the great bravest satyrs pledge their lives to finding Pan. And again, this shouldn't be capitalized. All right, there we go. And then the reasoning for that is, so now I've explained with my evidence, I did 2 pieces of evidence that I thought proved it. And then I would connect how this evidence proves my claim during my reasoning. So this proves that Grover wants to earn his searcher's license so that he can be the satyr that searches for and finds the god Pan. All right. So we're going to keep reading, and you're going to be looking for doing your next CER. We're going to get really good at CERs this week. All right, let's keep going. How are we going to get into the underworld? I asked him. I mean, what chance do we have against a god? I don't know, he admitted. But back at Medusa's, when you were searching for her office, Annabeth was telling me. Oh, I forgot. Annabeth will have a plan all figured out. Don't be so hard on her, Percy. She's had a tough life, but she's a good person. After all, she forgave me. His voice flattered. What do you mean? I asked. Forgave you for what? Suddenly, Grover seemed very interested in playing notes on his pipes. Wait a minute, I said. Your first keeper job was 5 years ago. Annabeth has been at camp for 5 years. She wasn't, your first assignment that went wrong. I can't talk about it, Grover said, and his quivering lower lip suggested that he'd start crying if I pressed him. But as I was saying, back at Medusa's, Annabeth and I agreed there's something strange going on with this quest. Something isn't what it seems. Well, duh. I'm getting blamed for stealing a thunderbolt that Hades took. That's not what I mean, Grover said. The kindly ones were sort of holding back, like Mrs. Dodds at Yancey Academy. Why did she wait so long to try to kill you? Then, on the bus, they weren't as aggressive as they could have been. They seemed plenty aggressive to me. Grover shook his head. They were screeching at us. Where is it? Where? Asking about me, I said. Maybe, but Annabeth and I were both getting the feeling that they weren't asking about a person. They said, where is it? They seemed to be asking about an object. That doesn't make sense. I know, but if we've misunderstood something about this quest, and we only have 9 days to find the Master Bolt, he looked at me like he was hoping for answers, but I didn't have any. I thought about what Medusa had said. I was being used by the gods. What lay ahead of me was worse than petrification. I haven't been straight with you, I told Grover. I don't care about the Master Bolt. I agreed to go in the underworld so I could bring back my mother. Grover blew a soft note on his pipe. I know that, Percy. But are you sure that's the only reason? I'm not doing it to help my father. He doesn't care about me. I don't care about him. Grover gazed down from the tree branch. Look, Percy, I'm not as smart as Annabeth. I'm not as brave as you. But I'm pretty good at reading emotions. You're glad your dad is alive. You feel good that he's claimed you. And part of you wants to make him proud. That's why you mailed Medusa's head to Olympus. You want him to notice what you've done. Yeah? Well, maybe satyr emotions work differently than human emotions, because you're wrong. I don't care what he thinks. Grover pulled his feet up onto the branch. Okay, Percy, whatever. Besides, I haven't done anything worth bragging about. We barely got out of New York, and we're stuck here with no money and no way west. Grover looked at the night sky like he was thinking about that problem. How about I take first watch, huh? You get some sleep. I wanted to protest, but he started to play Mozart, soft and sweet. I turned away, my eyes stinging. After a few bars of Piano Concerto No. 12, I was asleep. In my dreams, I stood in a dark cavern before a gaping pit. Gray mist creatures churned all around me, whispering rags of smoke that I somehow knew were the spirits of the dead. They tugged at my clothes, trying to pull me back, but I felt compelled to walk forward to the very edge of the chasm. Looking down made me dizzy. The pit yawned so wide and was so completely black. I knew it must be bottomless, yet I had a feeling that something was trying to rise from the abyss, something huge and evil. The little hero, an amused voice echoed, far down in the darkness. Too weak, too young, but perhaps you will do. The voice, so this is all, pause for a second. This is all said in a voice. I'll try to use italics on all of this, but this is a voice that he's hearing in his dream. The voice felt ancient, cold, and heavy. It wrapped around me like sheets of lead. They have misled you, boy, it said. Barter with me, and I will give you what you want. A shimmering image hovered above the void. My mother, frozen at the moment she dissolved in a shower of gold. Her face was distorted with pain, as if the Minotaur were still squeezing her neck. Her eyes looked directly at me, pleading, Go! I tried to cry out, but my voice wouldn't work. Cold laughter echoed from the chasm. An invisible force pulled me forward. It would drag me into the pit unless I stood firm. Help me rise, boy. The voice became hungrier. Bring me the bolt. Strike the blow against the treacherous gods. The spirits of the dead whispered around me. No, wake. The image of my mother began to fade. The thing in the pit tightened, its unseen grip around me. I realized it wasn't interested in pulling me in. It was using me to pull itself out. Good, it murmured. Good. Wake, the dead whispered. Wake! Someone was shaking me. All right. My eyes opened, and it was daylight. Well, Annabeth said, the zombie lives. I was trembling from the dream. I could still feel the grip of the chasm monster around my chest. How long was I asleep? Long enough for me to cook breakfast. Annabeth tossed me a bag of nacho-flavored corn chips from Auntie M's snack bar. And Grover went exploring. Look, he found a friend. My eyes had trouble focusing. Grover was sitting cross-legged on a blanket with something fuzzy in his lap. A dirty, unnaturally pink stuffed animal. No, it wasn't a stuffed animal. It was a pink poodle. The poodle yapped at me suspiciously. Grover said, No, he's not. I blinked. Are you talking to that thing? The poodle growled. This thing, Grover warned, is our ticket west. Be nice to him. You can talk to animals? Grover ignored the question. Percy, me and Percy meet Gladiola, Percy. I stared at Annabeth, figuring she'd crack up at this practical joke they were playing on me, but she looked deadly serious. I'm not saying hello to a pink poodle, I said. Forget it. Percy, Annabeth said. I said hello to the poodle. You say hello to the poodle. The poodle growled. I said hello to the poodle. Grover explained that he'd come across Gladiola in the woods and they'd struck up a conversation. The poodle had run away from a rich family who had posted a $200 reward for his return. Gladiola didn't really want to go back to his family, but he was willing to do it if it meant helping Grover. How does Gladiola know about the reward? I asked. He read the signs, Grover said. Duh. Of course, I said. Silly me. So we turn in Gladiola, Annabeth explained in her best strategy voice. We get money, and we buy tickets to Los Angeles. Simple. I thought about my dream, the whispering voices of the dead, the thing in the chasm, and my mother's face, shimmering as it dissolved into gold. All that might be waiting for me in the West. Not another bus, I said wearily. No, Annabeth agreed. She pointed downhill toward the train tracks. I hadn't been able to see last night in the dark. There's an Amtrak station, half a mile that way. According to Gladiola, the westbound train leaves at noon. Pause there. All right, let's go back up to the top. We are done with chapter 12. Told you it was short. Your question that you're answering here is, according to Grover, what is Percy's motivation for mailing Medusa's head to Mount Olympus? Do you agree or disagree? So I'm going to put agree or disagree down here. So just like I did in an example, you're going to write your claim. Percy's motivation for mailing Medusa's head to Mount Olympus is, so why does he do it? Find your evidence and your reasoning. And then here, I just want you to write agree or disagree if you think it was a good idea or not. I'll highlight the area down here. And I think it's like right here. I gotta find it again. It's right in this area. And so you can look back here for your evidence, and then you can choose your answer. All right, tomorrow we'll be reading chapter 13. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.